I can't believe it, but after releasing the Emoji Movie and the Hotel Transylvania movies and Surf's Up and the Smurfs movies, I never thought we'd see the day where Sony was definitely the best animation studio in Hollywood, with the two Spider-Verse movies and the third one on the way, K-pop Demon Hunters being as big as it was, and now GOAT. I think it's pretty clear to say that Sony has complete control over the animation. Like in terms of quality, Sony has popped out nothing but greatness since the first Spider-Verse movie. It's kind of unbelievable. GOAT is I didn't expect Goat to be as enjoyable as it ended up being for me, but this was phenomenal. I really really enjoyed this. The art direction and the the animation is just fucking phenomenal. Very similar to Across the Spider Verse. Everything just feels so like a painting. Every single frame just feels like a different painting. Every time the camera pans from one section to another, you can see like the smudge of the characters move across the screen. It's fucking gorgeous, man. I mean, that's the main. Obviously, it's gonna be the main conversation of this movie is how gorgeous it is, and Sony needs to keep just putting out bangers like this. And while I didn't like K-pop Demon Hunters, it did show how great Sony is. And of course, Go is just continuing this trend, and it's getting me more excited for Beyond the Spider Verse. I think Across and Into are very, very gorgeous movies, but I think Goat showed that Sony can just keep improving and keep making these movies look better and better as time goes on. And, story wise, I think this movie's pretty fucking great. This is Tyree Dillihaze first movie as a director. I think he did a brilliant job. Obviously, a lot of it is just very cookie cutter, family friendly movie that goes along the way, but I think it works really, really well. Caleb McLaughlin as Goat is fantastic. I didn't expect him to be as good as he was as the movie. When the movie started, I was just like, yeah, that's Caleb McLaughlin. But then the movie kept going and going, and he formed into the character he was playing, and I think he was great. Gabrielle Union was great. Steph Curry, I didn't even know was playing the draft until after the movie. I think he did a pretty fine job. Aaron Pierre, Nicola Coughlan, and David Harbour, which I'm so happy David Harbour was the Rhino. It just fits so fucking perfectly. He was great. And of course, Nick Kroll and a few other names in this movie, but Goat was so so great, and I can't stop thinking about how visually pretty this movie was. But I've been really into these sports movies these past 2 years. I think they've been doing a fantastic job with sort of telling these stories, but they all have a underlying problem, which why is the final game always so mediocre or underperforming? I'm really not too certain, but Go does follow this trend sadly. I think they show a total of maybe 5 or 6 basketball games in the entire movie, and I think they're all fantastic. You get a lot of action in them, even though some of them are very, very short, maybe a minute or two long, not even. There is some fucking fantastic action. I love the idea behind every single arena being a different, biome or environment. You have these stalactites in one, you have one that's, on a glacier that breaks and it shatters and there's water everywhere, another on a volcano. Their court for the Thorns is covered in vines and thorns and players trip. I think it's great. It's very very lovely. I love the creative decisions in this movie. A lot of the stuff with the animals I think was perfect. A lot of the compliments towards Zootopia is how great animals portray themselves. And I think Goat does a very similar job to that. I think all the animals did a very good job at feeling like the animal instead of just feeling like a human in in an animal costume. I think they did very good in that. But back to the games, very very good as the movie was going, and then of course we get to the final game, and it's just so lackluster until like they do the buzzer beater sequence, which it feels to be a common trend in these basketball movies, which is very unfortunate. But I think it was all very good, very good action. It was a very feel good movie, someone from Chicago having a hometown hero you look up to, like we had Derrick Rose, and this being a basketball movie, it just felt very close to home. And even the sequence where they have they have the announcement where they're moving cities. We're sadly, hopefully, not doing that soon with Chicago and the Bears, but that also felt very very close to home. I think this movie really struck me in a good way. Goat, maybe as time goes on, Goat gets higher and higher, especially if the Bears end up doing the city movement, which I hope doesn't happen. But Goat's phenomenal, amazing voice acting. Even though the story is very cookie cutter for a children's movie, it's very fun and it's very splendid. Very good action. I think the characters are all enjoyable. Even not not Terry. Why am I forgetting her name? Jet, even though she's a bit of a cunt throughout the movie, I really like that they do it very snappy. Like, yeah, she's a very egomaniac character, but instead of having that play out through the entire movie, and of course she does have the one game where she takes over, it doesn't feel too annoying and horrible. She has those nice sequences with Caleb McLaughlin, Will Harris, and they're shooting the basketballs and they're basically doing like their own game of horse. And I thought that was all great. And she wasn't annoying throughout the whole movie. She wasn't just a dick the entire movie. Everyone is just so fucking great in this movie, and I'm kind of hoping for a sequel. And if we do get a sequel, what's the biggest problem in basketball right now? It's these damn Europeans coming over and taking over the sport. What can they do? Fucking dinosaurs? I don't know. That'd be cool. I really just want more of this universe. When I watched Zootopia 1, I really didn't expect to want more, but then Zootopia 2 came out and I was like, holy shit, we need five more movies of Zootopia. They do such a splendid job at it. And now that I've watched Goat, the first one, hopefully, um I need like five more of these too. We could do so much more, and especially if you just focus more on the game itself, these movies could be way more enjoyable to the general audience, uh, especially for the older audience. Maybe get it more interesting. You Sony Animation Studio, you've been doing such a great job in doing action in your animated movies recently. Maybe keep doing more of that in these movies. We didn't get enough of it in Goat, but it was still very very enjoyable. Like K-pop Demon Hunters is has fantastic action. It's like the Spider Verse movies have fantastic action. We just needed more from Goat, and even though what we got was great, I just wish we had more. And it's why I can't give it a nine. Even I'm very tempted to give this a 7 out of 10, but maybe I was having a good week, so I'm giving Goat an 8 out of 10. This is the best animated movie so far of the year. Not really high standards. I've only seen three, but this is a clear cut winner.